What happens when a woman spends so long living inside daytime fantasies that real life finally starts to feel like the commercial break? In this episode, one lonely housewife discovers that the danger isn't in loving her soap operas too much, it's when the real world starts behaving like one. Greetings, schools, and welcome to a dive into horror television. Tonight we're looking at a terrifying episode of Tales from the Crypt titled Spoiled. We open and we're watching a soap opera with Janet and Louise as they fold and sort laundry. They can't get enough of this show. Janet thinks her life should be more like the show, full of passionate moments. When there's something you want, you should go and take it. She dreams of a steamy romance. Her doctor husband is far too attached and preoccupied with his work. He's creating a new, long-lasting anesthetic. He performed surgery at the hospital last night and his patient died. If only he had the new anesthetic he was working on in his lab, it would have saved the patient's life. He has work to do down in his lab as always. Louise splits and Janet has a daydream where her husband comes back upstairs and makes love to her just like in one of her soap operas. Louise comes back in and interrupts. She returns a pair of strange underwear. So Janet goes downstairs and tries to seduce her husband. He's not having it. He's on the brink of creating something groundbreaking and is completely obsessed with his work. The next day, Janet watches more of her soap opera. The TV cuts out at the best part. She can't believe it. She runs downstairs to the other TV, but by the time she gets there, she misses the cliffhanger ending of the show. Luckily, her bestie Louise is at the door ready to fill her in. Louise convinces her to get cable TV, and Janet agrees that maybe it's time. The next day, she has a cable man over to install her box, and they end up flirting up a storm using innuendo. They really hit it off, and before we know it, the box is all installed. They almost kiss, but before he leaves, he gives her a business card. He'll come back day or night, just give him a ring. She puts on her favorite show and relaxes. Later on, we go down to the doctor's laboratory. Against his wishes, Janet slings down in lingerie, hoping to rile up the doctor and get some. She gets turned down again. His anesthesia is working. He's managed to keep his rabbit test subject alive longer than previously thought possible. Janet moves suddenly and drops a glass jar of plasma. The doctor has to go to the hospital right away and get more. She's hot and bothered, yet she gets no release. So she takes her needs and goes elsewhere. The next day, she calls the cable man over. He's there to fix the cable, but it's a simple resolution. The cable's unplugged. They wind up having hot sex, and then they plan to meet again. If she needs him, she knows what to do. Her husband comes home not long after and goes right downstairs back to work. The next day, the cable man comes back to hook up Janet's box, if you know what I mean. But before anything happens, the doctor comes home unexpectedly. We learn that he's taken a leave of absence at work so that he can complete his anesthetic testing at home. He's going to be home around the clock down in the lab. The doctor promises that after he completes his work, he'll have time for her again. Before the cable man leaves, Janet informs him that they can still rendezvous without interference, since the doctor stays downstairs for hours. The doctor's rabbit has been asleep for 7 full days with the new drug. It's working perfectly. Janet is upstairs still fooling around with the cable man. She hardly tries to hide it, but keeps getting away with it. Later, it's day 15 and the rabbit is still looking good. Janet continues to cheat. The doctor completes his work and the rabbit wakes up healthy. The doctor is so excited that his mission was a success that he goes upstairs without turning off the red light that signals he's busy and not to disturb him. This doesn't give Janet any notification that he's coming upstairs, so she's still on the couch with their man. They're saying they want each other's body, every inch of it. The doctor can't believe what he's hearing. He goes back downstairs with his rabbit. He decides to hurt her, to get her back for this. He chloroforms both of them and brings them downstairs. Now, they're going to be used as the first human trial for the new drug. With the long-lasting anesthetic at work in their body, the doctor has time to accomplish something new and previously impossible. They wake up and Janet screams. They can't believe their eyes. The doctor took their heads and swapped them onto the other's body. Janet has the body of her lover. They wanted each other's bodies, and the doctor gave them just that. What a ridiculous but fun one. Janet is a woman drowning in boredom. Her life is so devoid of affection, excitement, or reciprocal desire that she retreats into daytime fantasy. Soap operas full of passion, erotic tension, and emotional fireworks. When reality starves you, fantasy becomes nourishment. Television becomes emotional opium. Her soap operas give her a version of love she never receives at home. When reality becomes unbearable, the borders between life and fantasy begin to dissolve. Her affair with the cable guy is her attempt to live inside the world she watches. Television becomes the blueprint for her rebellion. The episode creates a metatextual loop, with the use of soap operas as a story within a story, a self-conscious commentary on narrative consumption. The melodrama she consumes becomes the melodrama she reenacts. Soap operas, with their intense passion, become the script she unconsciously performs. The result is a commentary on how fiction shapes perception, how genre expectations shape desire, and how the narratives we internalize often betray us. Rather than depicting a horrid wife, this episode exposes emotional neglect as a slow rot. This episode shows us the cold violence of indifference, where marriage is a contract that becomes a cage. Spoiled is drenched in gender politics. The wife exists for beauty, domesticity, and emotional labor. The husband exists for scientific achievement and rational superiority. He controls the schedule while she controls nothing but her fantasies. Her affair momentarily reclaims her bodily autonomy, her sexual agency, and her right to desire. But the episode ultimately weaponizes this agency against her, showing how patriarchal systems punish women who step outside the prescribed script. There are consequences of escapism. Janet escapes deeper into fantasy, but with each step she loses control of her reality. Her downfall isn't caused by lust, it's caused by her inability to perceive real danger while chasing cinematic excitement. The episode has a clear message. If you stop engaging with reality, reality has a way of consuming you whole. Soap operas condition viewers to believe in hyperbolic passion and dramatic emotional expression. Janet internalized these scripts, creating what media scholars call narrative imprinting. Her real marriage can't compete with the spectacle, so she translates fantasy into behavior. The episode is essentially a commentary on how repeated exposure to idealized romance shapes expectations, parasocial relationships distort intimacy, and how media teaches us to want the wrong things in the wrong places. Her affair isn't spontaneous, it's the logical extension of her media conditioning. I haven't seen the actors in this episode in anything else, but I think everyone did a great job, especially the women. The director was Andy Wolk, who's worked on some good stuff, including Gossip Girl, The Sopranos, and The Carrie Diaries. The writers Connie Johnson and Doug Ronning were brilliant, and I was shocked to learn they hadn't written anything else. Doug did one episode of Tales from the Crypt, and Connie was an assistant to the producer for 17 episodes. Perhaps surprising, but I adored this episode and I thought it was very well done. I'll rate it a 9 out of 10 for Tales from the Crypt. I wouldn't change anything about it, but it could have been a little spookier. Check out some of my other videos and remember to be well and stay spooky.